Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our discussion today. Today, we privileged to have our guest, Mr. Sosthenes, who will be talking to us about the area of forensic. Forensic, when you hear about forensic, what comes into your mind? Somebody investigating you. When a company hears about forensic, what does it mean? So students have been asking about forensic, interest to learn about forensic investigation. Today we have Mr. Sosthenes, who will be able to take us through forensic investigation with a key focus in financial. He'll be able to highlight to us what is this forensic, what is the origin of the forensic investigations, where are these professionals required, which industries they can work in, and lastly, you'd have room to ask questions. Should you have a question for our guest today, feel free to share your questions through the chat. He'll be able to handle them at the end of the session. Should you also have any question about an expert you are looking at, an area that you are not familiar with, write to us through, we'll be able to connect you to the speaker and the guest, and all of us get to learn and understand their careers more. So without much ado, I want to welcome Mr. Sosthenes to take us through his life as a forensic investigator, what is the law about forensic investigation, the institute where he works, and how we can benefit from it. Mr. Sosthenes, welcome to our show today.
Thank you, Mr. Makori, for this opportunity to speak to your students. As you have already introduced myself, my name is Sosthenes Bichanga. I am a forensic investigation expert. I did not just become an expert in forensics, or I was not born a forensic expert. It has been a journey. And this journey started from my interest in studying accounting because I liked the numbers. After high school, I joined a CPA course class in 1986. I did the CPA part 1 and completed it at one sitting. And then I moved to get a job as an trained teacher at secondary, where I taught business education and commerce until I resigned and joined the CMC Motors Group Limited as an accounts clerk in 1989. Because I could not continue with the teaching because my interest was in accounting. So I moved to accounting full-time as accounts clerk, accounts assistant, and then rose through the ranks to become an accountant when I completed the CPAK in 2002. It was really a struggle, as you can see, because working as you study is not an easy thing. So it took me several years from the time of admission to the accounting course in 1986 to 2002 to complete the CPA Kenya. It was a struggle trying to work between work and study. I could start at night, and then during daytime, I go to work for my employer. I worked in the CMC Motors, and I came across many challenges of fraudsters. Staff who join, I came to realize that there are some staff who join organizations with the main objective of stealing. They come in to steal. And this confirmed what one of my colleagues at the college told me. I think it was unintentional, but that is what was in his mind. He told me that I want to complete the CPA course very fast so that I can go and steal very fast, steal a lot of money, buy a car, and then become a person like others. So some of the students of accounting or students in any profession join organizations with an aim to steal. This is what I came to confirm. So they could steal without me knowing, without anybody knowing that they are stealing. Because, you know, when a person is perpetrating fraud, it's a clandestine type of transaction. He does not announce it to anyone. He does it himself or herself until the auditors could come, and then they unearth the fraud. And then the question could be, where were you? This prompted me to start carrying a lot of research on how to detect, prevent, and even investigate fraud. This led me to become a member of the Association of Certified Fraud Examiners USA in 2006. That is 2006. Because I had now moved my interest from accounting to investigation, detection, and the prevention of fraud, in May 2007, I resigned to go and practice accounting and fraud examination as a trainer. And through the process, I trained many professionals, many of whom work in the government offices and even the corporate sector in Kenya. In 2012, I joined the International Institute of Certified Fraud Examiners. International Institute of Forensic Investigation Professionals of USA as a professional member, a professional and international forensic trainer, and also it is president manning its administrative offices in Nairobi. Since then, I've visited many African countries on invitation to go and attend conferences and workshops on forensic investigation and fraud management as a speaker. I've done many writings in forensic investigation. I started with writing an article which was published in the journal of Institute of Internal Auditors in 2005. The article was titled Intelligent Fraud Fighting. Since then, I've written books, published several books. The leading of them being the 9 steps of forensic investigation. Now, after giving you that background, I will now summarize myself as a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants Kenya, a member of the Forensic CPA Society USA, a fellow member of the International Institute of Certified Forensic Investigation Professionals USA, and a fellow of the Society of Forensic Accounting Education, Pakistan. I am also a Ph.D. student in forensic accounting and auditing. Forensic investigation, as you learn from your research, is that it's an emerging profession, an emerging independent profession, independent from auditing, independent from accounting, independent from criminology. This is an independent profession like any other professions like accounting, law, and medicine. How does one move from being a graduate to become a forensic expert? You have to do courses on forensic investigation, specialize in forensic investigation, do many research in forensic investigation, attend many workshops and conferences in order to become an expert in forensic investigation. To qualify as a certified forensic investigator, one must have a basic requirement of a degree in either criminology or accounting. Computer science can also be considered, and also security studies, because these give background the background that is required for one to study and become an efficient forensic investigator. If one does not have a degree, it can come from the side of professional accounting, which is also very much required. You will agree with me that when you are a forensic investigator, the greater percentage of your work will be financial investigation. Investigating white-collar crimes, investigating fraud and corruption, investigating money laundering, investigating drug trafficking, and all these investigations must lead you to financial analysis. That is why it is required that anyone who would like to become a forensic investigation expert to have a background in accounting, criminology, computer science, security, and criminology. Why is there demand for forensic investigators? Forensic investigators, especially those who investigate financial crimes, are in high demand currently world over due to the migration of violent criminals from violence-driven robberies to intelligence-driven robberies. That is, the crimes like fraud, corruption, money laundering, tax evasion. These are the crimes which do not use force, do not use violence. You need not use violence to acquire money, for example, from someone. You need persuasion. You need to use logic and intelligence. And in fact, many of us are defrauded. Many organizations, both government and private organizations, are in most cases defrauded for many years before they come to discover that they have been defrauded, and they have been defrauded full time. And at the time of discovery, you will find that many of the witnesses or the documents have disappeared or been destroyed. The suspect might have resigned from the organization and even went abroad, and even took something like a start leave, and then went abroad for further studies. And this complicates matters, because if you have discovered a huge fraud, like to the tune of billions, and there's none to investigate, to question. They are available, yes, but to get them, it will be at a great expense. To get someone from abroad, trace him, trace her, and to get him back for investigation, it is not an easy thing. It is complicated. Because of this, organizations are now in need of experts who will assist them to discover these frauds, these crimes in time. Even governments are in need of these experts who can discover these crimes in good time. These crimes are like a cancer, and the metrics tell us that early detection of cancer is like a cure, is the best thing to do. When you discover very early, in early stages, that you have cancer, you have a greater probability of getting cured. But if you discover that you have cancer in later stages, when you are in stage 3 or 4, then the discovery will be like a death sentence to you, because at that stage you have like a very slim percentage or a probability of getting cured, and you have like 95% of dying very soon. The same to this kind of crimes. When you discover them early, you save your organization from the impact of the fraud. You save the organization from much trouble in calling in experts to investigate, carry out complicated investigations that may take the investigators across borders and spend a lot of money at the expense of the organization or the government. So that is why there is huge demand now for forensic investigators. You would agree with me that when you go through the papers, and even when you search online, you will see adverts, many adverts, looking for investigation officers, forensic auditors. Forensic auditing is an investigation. When you hear of forensic auditing, you know that those people are required to go and carry out investigation, but investigation of a financial nature. Forensic investigators have skills. Let me call them multi-skilled professionals. They are capable of carrying out private investigations. Private investigations will touch on investigating and tracing individuals, investigating organizations, investigating many areas, including investigating insurance claims, because some people will claim that they have died and they launch insurance claims only to be discovered later and they buried that dog. And that is what they are claiming, that they buried their person who was the insured person. So it is only through investigation that this can be discovered, that these people they buried that dog instead of the insured. The insured is alive and waiting to enjoy the benefits. That is the work of private investigators. And only well-trained private investigators can do a good job. Forensic investigators can work as criminal investigators, fraud auditors, forensic accountants. They can work in tracing hidden assets, especially in cases like divorce cases. That is matrimonial disputes. When families have disagreed, usually they go to court for divorce, and after divorce, what is next? What is next is sharing of assets. So the investigators must be called in, forensic investigators, to trace all the assets, bring them to the family statement of affairs, so that this can be shared amongst the people as they separate. Or tracing of assets can be done when organizations want to carry out recovery of the amounts that have been defrauded from their organizations. Wise fraudsters invest in assets, fixed assets, and these can easily be recovered. But organizations cannot recover money spent on drinking sprees. This is why early detection is very important. This is why employing of experts to detect fraud early is very important, so that they are discovered before they drink millions of their employers, because that cannot be recovered. Investigators can work in banks to investigate money laundering, or regulatory authorities that deal with money laundering, anti-money laundering, that like the intelligence center, the Financial Intelligence Center. We have one in Kenya. They can work as expert witnessing. They can work in designing preventive internal controls, proactive preventive controls that will be able to enable organizations to detect what is going on early. Where do these people work, or who employs forensic investigators? Government agencies that deal with corruption, criminal investigation like the CIDs, revenue collection agencies for the investigation of tax frauds and tax evasion, law enforcement in the police, auditing and accounting firms employ those people with skills in forensic investigation. Security firms employ these people. Cooperative societies employ them as forensic auditors. Consulting firms, international and local, banks, insurance companies, government organizations like the civil aviation authorities employ investigators who will carry investigation. They will either be investigating fraud or investigating why aircrafts got involved in accidents. International organizations like the World Bank and the related organizations employ forensic auditors for the investigation of fraud and corruption and the other related crimes like money laundering and the CPAK fraud. Audit officers of government like the Auditor General employ many auditors who work in the special areas of special audit and special and forensic investigation, or of forensic the investigation of fraud and corruption in the government. When you hear of government speaking of special audit is investigation. It is called special because it is an investigation. It is not the conventional type of auditing of checking compliance and the balances and checking of whether the books are balancing. But investigators look for evidence. They look for evidence so that they can fix somebody in a court of law. This brings me to the definition of forensic investigation. Forensic investigation will be defined from the word forensic, which means that whatever you are doing will be used or will be consumed by a court of law. The word forensic refers to the court. So whatever you see forensic, wherever you see forensic, you know that the work that is done there is for the court, is for collecting evidence, gathering evidence, analyzing evidence for the court, for the court's consumption. When you hear of forensic engineering, forensic accounting, forensic investigation, forensic psychology, all these are done for the purpose of adducing evidence in court, expert evidence in court. What are the positions that are available for a forensically trained person? The positions that are available are the forensic investigation officer, security officer, fraud analyst, forensic investigator, corruption investigator, tax auditors, forensic investigation managers, fraud auditor, fraud examiner, or criminal investigation officers. These are some of the positions that you will find for a person who has been trained as a forensic expert. The course, the duration for the course for one to become a forensic investigation professional does not take long. Does not take 4 years as an undergraduate degree student takes. It takes between an average of 6 months to complete the course, because this is not a course. This is not a course for fresh high school graduates. This is a course for graduates, those people who have done degrees, those people who have done courses in professional accounting, those people who have even done some work, those people who have some work experience in related fields. So they take between 6 months and 12 months. And if one has enough time, you can take like 3 months, 4 months, if you have enough time to read full time. This is because in forensic investigation, there are no complicated calculations like we did in accounting, where you do statistics and what you used to do, call QT, quantitative analysis, where you will be referred several times doing the same course. You do the calculations, you get it wrong, through procedurally, and even the final answer, it is very wrong. So you get referred all over and over again. There is no quantitative techniques in forensic investigation. What is in forensic investigation is for you to learn and study investigative skills, theory, and practice, to learn on how to stand before a court of law and give and defend your expert report, testify on your report, so as to convince the court that you did an expert work. You did work that is beyond reproach. You followed all of the forensic procedures and the law in collecting and gathering evidence. You have been seeing on the papers that some cases are thrown out not because of lack of evidence, but because the evidence which is before the court was collected using illegal means. When you steal evidence, that is no evidence. It is not admissible. So you must prove to the court that you followed all the laws pertaining to investigation and the gathering of evidence, and then defend your report. You defend the hypothesis of the crime before the court, and then they would get persuaded and come to your side. As you know, courts are like a battlefield where people go for attack of war. So the side that pulls the hardest is the one that wins. That is why it sometimes appears ridiculous when you find that some case that is like very clear, you find the court saying that we did not, the prosecution did not adduce sufficient evidence, did not provide sufficient evidence, and therefore murderer, a person you know had murdered your brother or father or sister or mother, is released for not for lack of evidence, but for insufficiency of the evidence. The case was not proved beyond reasonable doubt by the prosecution. This is why we must have people who are well trained. Those people can take evidence to court that is sure to pin the suspects and prove beyond reasonable doubt that they did it, so that they are imprisoned, incarcerated for many years in jail to serve as a lesson to others. You would agree with me that when you go to the archives and read the papers and search through years before 2000, there was very slim chances of winning cases against the fraudsters in a court of law, because there were no investigators. People believed in using the police for investigation. And during those days, the police were not well trained on investigation. So they would bulldoze you, they would pull you, they would pinch you, press you the hardest to extract a conviction. But when you go to court, the evidence is not enough, it's not sufficient, so you are released. I remember even where I worked, many of the fraudsters who were caught and taken to court by the policemen were released. And not just released, but they were released with costs. The court could say, okay, this person has been out of employment for 5 years. You are claiming he defrauded you a new tipper, completely new tipper. He defrauded, he went with it without payment. And you have not proved it. So what you do, then instead the person with full salary from the date of termination at the court increment rates. You can see how much the organization could lose in that kind of scenario. A person has been out because he defrauded you, a new tipper, completely new tipper. He has gone through the case for 5 years. You have not adduced an adequate evidence. He's been set free with costs. So he comes back to claim not only the costs of the defending the case, but also damages for calling him a thief. And he is not a thief in courts. And you have been asked to pay him for the 5 years he has been out of employment, and pay him increments at court rates every year, and they instate him. So you have to follow the court order to instate a thief, compensate a thief. You see, that is why organizations these days, even small ones, are asking for forensic services. And these forensic services are being supplied by trained, certified forensic investigators. We have many of the members of the institute who are practicing as independent forensic practitioners who can do this job. And there are many who are employed in organizations, assisting organizations to reduce the instances of fraud, corruption, money laundering, and such crimes. Thank you very much. That is the presentation. I will now go through and see your questions. I've not seen any question. I don't know. Yes, do forensic psychologists play any role in forensic investigation? Yes, as I've already talked, this question has been asked by Penina Mutoki. She has not indicated our university, because I was informed that I'm talking to professionals and also students from various universities in Kenya. He has not indicated, but the question is, do forensic psychologists play any role in forensic investigation? Yes, they do. Because I will explain that the word forensic itself means that this expert will be working for the court, gathering evidence to assist in either defense or prosecuting a case. Forensic investigators forensic experts do not only work for the defense, for prosecution, they also work for defense. And this makes cases more complicated, because if I've been accused of fraud, then I would also go and hire a forensic expert to come and gather evidence to convince the court that I did not do it. I did not perpetrate the fraud. What happened was just an error, and the errors are not fraud. Fraud is defined as an intentional act of deception in order to take advantage of a situation or a person for personal gain. Another question is from Mefin Kami. Which institutions over forensic accounting? Forensic accounting as a branch of accounting is not very common in Kenya at the moment, and therefore you will find that it is very rare for universities to offer forensic accounting degrees, or you will find that there is no organization or institution that specializes in offering forensic accounting as a specialty or a branch of accounting. The institute I work with offers forensic accounting as a subject for forensic investigators, certified forensic investigators. You will do a full subject on forensic accounting as part of the course in order to qualify. So if you like to get universities or colleges that offer forensic accounting as an independent discipline or a degree, you can search on the internet and you will get this from advanced countries from outside Kenya. Caroline Nteka she's asking, the message is such encouraging. Yes, she's commenting that the presentation has been very encouraging, and she's writing from Tharaka University. The Daniel Hero, these names are difficult. Hero, thank you for the session and enlightenment. Does it mean that I have to be done with my undergraduate course so as I will be qualified to study and be a forensic officer? Thank you very much. I forgot to tell you that as those people who do accounting at the undergraduate stage, combine the undergraduate with the CPA studies, you can also combine the undergraduate studies with forensic investigation course like the one we offer, so that at the time of graduation you have double qualifications. You have the undergraduate degree and you also have the certified forensic investigation professional certification. Penina Mutoki, if you could expound a little on the fraud analyst position, what it entails. The work of a fraud analyst is to look at the systems on daily basis, the documents, look at them with the eye of an expert to see whether they would detect not errors, but signs of fraudulent activity. That is what they will do on daily basis. They will be in fact, the fraud analyst is the same person who is called the fraud examiner. You will be looking at the organization systems on daily basis. You will be looking at even at the controls on daily basis to see whether there could be weaknesses which can be taken advantage of by the fraudsters to defraud. Patrick Ndoro, how does change in technology affect forensic accounting? Is there any challenge that a forensic expert can encounter due to change in technology? Chuka University. Yes, changing in technology is a challenge. Is a challenge to forensic investigators. That is why we encourage the certified forensic investigation professionals to make sure that they are very proficient in digital forensics, computer forensics. They are appraised so that they are appraised, updated technologically in all ways. And in fact, one of the subjects for one to study to become a forensic investigation expert is computer and digital forensics. This name is Onyango. Onyango is asking, this is Purity. Okay, this is Purity from University of Nairobi. How effective is the system of biometric technology in Kenya in criminal investigations? What I will tell you is that biometric technology has come to help in a great deal. Before the advent of biometric technology, there was a big mess because you could not be able to trace criminals. It is now easy with the biometrics to trace criminals. Babla Trupena, how much does it cost to study forensic accounting? Wow. We are not offering forensic accounting as a specialty, and therefore I do not know whether you are asking about forensic accounting at as a degree, undergraduate degree, master's degree, or a PhD. Let me comment that studying forensic accounting at bachelor's, master's, and PhD is a very expensive affair, because you mainly do this from outside the country, and it is very expensive because you'll be paying fees in dollars. This might go to the tune of millions of Kenya shillings. Finicent Sang, for one doing insurance, is he capable of undertaking any of those professional courses? Kisii University, yes. I forgot to tell you that the requirement for one to undertake a forensic investigation course is an undergraduate degree, an undergraduate degree. But those from accounting, finance, criminology, and security studies have an advantage, because in the undergraduate course, they do some of the courses which are related to forensic investigation. So with an degree from sociology, from mathematics, from medicine, from any field, you can be admitted to do forensic investigation course. Joshua Abok, another question, which tools do you use in doing an investigation on a particular fraud? Chuka University. There are many tools which can be used, especially when you are doing digital forensic investigation. You have to use the computer assisted tools which can assist you to sift through many transactions in order to arrive at the exceptions that you need for investigation. There are many. There are tools which range from imaging of the computer hard drives to those ones which are used for data analysis. You can get, if you search online, you get many of them. If Jabet is cybersecurity studies a subject, not a course itself. It will depend. It will depend if cybersecurity is being done as part of a degree or a part of a professional course like forensic investigation, then it will be a subject, and then it will be limited in scope. But if it is being offered as undergraduate degree or master's degree, then it will be very wide and detailed. So it depends where the course is being offered. Prudence Karimi, hello, thank you for the informative session. Prudence Karimi from Chuka University. Thank you. I can see there are many students from Chuka University. That is where one of my sons graduated from in December. He was doing forensic science. I mean computer science, sorry. Next question. Yeah. Another question from Jabet from Chuka University. Is cybersecurity studies like a course itself? And for how long can one study? This will also depend. The length of the course will depend the course content. If the course content is summarized for a professional, as part of a professional course, then it will take a shorter time. But if it is being offered as a degree, then it will take 4 years, just like any other undergraduate degrees in Kenya. Moro. The next question is from Sapron Mwangi. Is certified secretary an added advantage for criminology students at Chuka University? I'm not very sure. I'm not a certified secretary myself. And I know what I know is that certified secretaries do secretarial work, filing of returns. So I don't see how it can be advantageous to a criminology student. How much does your institution charge for one to undertake the course? This is from Masinde Muliro University, Njogu. The charges depend whether you are coming in as a partly exempted student, because there are professionals who come in through the exemption route. When you are partly exempted, the fees will be low. When you are a full student for the full course, the fees will be charged at in full. But the fees range between 850 to 1500 USD. Next question. I can see we have like 9 minutes. Next question. If there are no more questions, I will hand over back to the coordinators of this show.
Yeah, thank you very much. Maybe
thank you very much.
You mentioned the money in. Okay. Yes, I want you to mention the money in Kenyan shillings. Most of the viewers are Kenyans, so that they can know how much does this cost in Kenyan shillings.
Okay. This like between 85 and 150,000 Kenya shillings. 85,000, between 85,000 and 150,000 Kenya shillings.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then any closing remarks from your end?
The closing remarks I will tell the student is that it is very, very advantageous when you do your undergraduate degrees and combine with some other courses, which will go to increase the value of your undergraduate degree, and this will accelerate your employment. Those who graduate with double qualifications, like undergraduate plus a professional certification, get jobs faster than those who just come out with undergraduate degrees. Thank you. There is another question, if there is time, from Caleb Mayo. Caleb Mayo, how much is section 1? Is it section 1, Teta Kimati University of Technology, Nyeri? The question is not very clear, so that one we can skip. Back to you. There is another question, Daniel Koso. For Kenyan citizen to qualify the Kenya Police Service recruitment exercise, one must meet physical requirements needed. Can poor physical appearances hinder one to be a forensic expert in Kenya? No. The requirement for recruitment of the police is not the same as the requirement for recruitment of forensic experts. Appearances do not hinder experts from working. Even crippled people, those who are physically challenged can become forensic experts, and they would do a very good job. Apart from stammerers, some professions are very tricky for some people with some talents like stammering. These are talent. Stammering is a talent. You are born with it, so you cannot go to court to say go all the time. You see. So that one is a talent which will knock you out. But generally, anyone can become a forensic expert. And if you want to become a forensic expert, you must be very brave. Forensic investigation is not a profession for the faint-hearted, but for those people who are very brave, because there are risks. Because sometimes forensic investigators become the hunted instead of being the hunters.
That's a good point to end that.
Back to the coordinator.
Yes. Thank you very much for attending our session today. That's a good point to end that. We really appreciate your coming. You've been able to highlight a number of issues, clarifications. I know now the students are well prepared. The next question they'll ask me, where can I get internship as a forensic investigator? Probably, are you providing something for them? You could answer that maybe later. Thank you very much for coming to this session. We look forward to engaging you more so that you can be able to bring right into these discussions. Our aim is to ensure that students are able to understand careers and are able to focus on what they want to do. And by so doing, we have professionals who have knowledge, who have skills, and who know where they are going. And that's the future of work. Thank you very much for joining us. May you have a good lunch. Next speaker, next expert, next time. Thank you very much.